Bill P here from BP3 Crypto on BP3TV. And how is everybody doing today? Hope that you are good wherever this message finds you, day or night, sunshine or rain. I also want to remind you that this is not investing advice. It's just educational advice. These are some of the things that I learned, some of the things that I observed, and I share them with you. You guys then share back your responses with me, and together we can all grow in this market space. So welcome back to the channel. Lots been going on, right? I know the market numbers may not be exactly what everybody's planning for the future, but needless to say, there's still a lot going on in the space. I want to spend a little bit of time to talk about Ethereum. I'm getting a lot of calls and messages from people that are really concerned. Obviously, people got into Ethereum during that big upswing in last November and December. $800, $900, $1,000, $1,200, $1,400 entries are really, really freaking out. Now, I got to be honest. I really, really, really think it's going to be a long day, and heck, for the Ethereum to make it back to 1,400. There's just a lot of things that have negative factors against Ethereum, and if it keeps going the way that it's been going, it's going to be next to impossible for it, in my opinion, to reach those levels that it used to be at. It really wasn't worth $1,400. But anyway, that's my opinion. So what are we in? Some people are starting to call this an ETH crisis. I mean, is that actually warranted? We see the price going down and down and down. Some people even say the price is crashing. We're seeing increased competition as well. We're seeing a lack of innovation. And we know that a lot of the ICOs are dumping ETH just to survive. They find themselves caught in a pretty tough place as well. They need to liquidate this ETH to pay operating expenses. They need to think about having operating expenses in the future. So they may, before the price slides down any further, opt to liquidate ETH just to protect themselves. I mean, if you raised $10 million and that's quickly turned into 5 million, 4 million, 3 million, I mean, at some point, just from an economic standpoint, you would need to liquidate the ETH so that you had some sort of currency that was either going up, ideally, or at least something that was stable. Could be some stable coin, a tether of some sort pegged to the US dollar. It could be the US dollar. It could be gold, silver. Could be quite a few things. But what we're finding right now is one of the factors that's contributing to Ethereum's negative price action is the fact that these ICOs need to save their ass, so to speak, and they need to pay their developers and their employees if they're going to come out with a product that's going to produce a profit so that they can fly on their own. Let's take a look at this chart right behind me. So this is a chart from Coinology at the time of recording this video. And you can see I have it from May. So May, June, July, August, September, and about halfway through September. So 4 months, right? June, July, August, September, a little over 4 months. We've seen Ethereum sink pretty steadily from, on this, one-day chart, from $800 all the way down to what it is right now, 203. It touched 170 yesterday, and that's what's got a lot of people really, really freaking out. I guess once it went under 200, it was a psychological level. I get a lot of calls from people like, Bill, what's going on? You recommended me to get this, and now I feel like it's never coming back. Well, again, it's not investing advice, educational advice, and we're not investing anything that we can't lose. But with that being said, I do agree with these guys that are contacting me. The Ethereum does seem like it has just disappeared. I mean, is it going to crash? You know, what's going on? The creators of Ethereum have been looking at different ways to scale things. They've been looking at sharding. They've been looking at whether they should get involved in atomic swaps, SegWit Lightning, all these on and off-chain scaling solutions. But they have implemented little to no solutions up at this point that has had a major effect on the speed of the network. You have other coins, other companies that have been coming out, having their own ICOs, raising ETH, developing their platform, and then going out on their own, whether they stay as a token or whether they create their own blockchain afterwards. They use ETH as a stepping stone, as a tool to raise their funds. And then, ideally, their services and their products that are on their network will become the revenue generating portion of their business, and they won't have to live off their ICO money forever. So it sounds great, but as the Ethereum has gone down, you can only imagine that if you had 1 million Ethereum at $800, and you were like, wow, we're good for the next 10, 20 years. And now the Ethereum's $200, right? So what's that? 3/4 of the funds that you had put aside for developing and paying employees and whatnot until your products and services are up and running is gone. You really, really have to take a look at it and decide what you're going to do as a company. Do I believe Ethereum is broken? No. Do I believe Ethereum is going to go away? No, not at all. Do I believe Ethereum was way overpriced? Yes. We all know that the market was jacked to the bejesus a few months ago, but Ethereum does have a lot of other companies that are invested in it, Ethereum, as far as they are running Ethereum tokens in their business operations. More than any other coin. So just for that matter of adoption, I really don't see Ethereum going anywhere. And it does work very well. You can create a token. You can control that token through smart contracts on the Ethereum network. It's great. Innovative, like first of its kind. Big, big, big deal. But what are we going to do now with Ethereum? Let's take a look at this little chart over here. Now, this is from a website called Dyer. And what these guys have put together, September 10th, 2018. Initial coin offering treasury balances of public ETH address. So here, we're going to take a look at this chart here for a minute. But what I'm thinking is if companies don't start to raise their funds on other platforms, Ethereum is not going to stand a chance. It's forever going to be that kind of token where or that blockchain where it's used for tokenization. And then afterwards, those funds raised, the Ethereum raised, is sold, and the company builds their goods and services. With this circle, there's cycle going on and on and on. You can see how once Ethereum has started rise, these companies maybe is like, oh man, now I need to get out in case this happens again. And they dump, and it rises and they dump, and it rises and they dump. It gives Ethereum no chance. It's like sticking his head on the water, sticking his head on the water, sticking his head on the water. And we can prove this to ourselves by just taking a look at some of these things. So let's look for one first right here that we're all pretty familiar with. 10x Pay. It's a Visa credit debit card. It's one of the first ones that came out. It was actually a working product for a little while. And then they've had a lot of problems with the payment processors. But what do we got going on here? So let's move me down out of the way just a little bit more. So the name of the company, 10x Pay. So the Ethereum raised 245,000. So about 250,000 Ethereum were raised. I can't remember quite the price of that, but it was close to what the price is right now. Ironically, these guys might not be doing so bad in their books, but they raised 250 ETH. Their April balance of this year, okay, and I'm not sure that they raised that. Yes, they raised that in 2017. So 2018 April, 42,000. August, 42,000, same number. September, well, a few more thousand gone. But you can see that they did have to sell a chunk of their Ethereum in September to cover their operating expenses, I would assume. Like I said, too, these guys, when they did collect it, Ethereum was low, so they collected quite a bit of Ethereum in relation to the ICOs later on that collected the same money amount, but in a lesser Ethereum numbers because the actual US dollar value of Ethereum during their ICO was a lot higher. was a tactic that I was using for a little while. When Ethereum was going really low, I was still trying to buy into ICOs that had their mathematics based on the higher Ethereum price. So I got the same buying power, so to speak, when they made the terms for their ICO, as opposed to the buying power of Ethereum at the current time. But you can see right here that 10xPay raised quite a bit, and they have very little left compared to that. It looks like their market cap is 63 million, and they have 7 million in US dollars left in their coffers. We've got a project like this one up here, number 2, Golem. I like these guys, supercomputer and all. They raised quite a bit of money. So they, in contrast, 820,000 Ethereum were raised during their ICO. April 370, August 370, September 370. So, hey, at least these guys still have quite a bit. Look like roughly what? A little less than half. And they're not liquidating and dumping as much as, say, 10xPay was, or as a lot of these other smaller companies. And these guys also did raise quite a bit. They're sitting on top of 70 million, as opposed to 10xPay, which we just looked at, was at 7 million. And they have quite a bit market cap. But as we glance over some of these things, and we just scan our eyes over here in the first column, Ethereum raised like, okay, I don't know these guys, but Request, 100,000 Ethereum raised, 80,000 left. So they still have a US value of 15 million and a market cap of 24. These guys have close to the same number of Ethereum, but not nearly the same US dollar value. It's people like those that'll be either waiting for the Ethereum to turn around so that they can hopefully get closer to where their ICO value of it was, so the mathematics works out for them. Or, I mean, they're going to start dumping. AirSwap, what do they raise right here? 119,000 Ethereum, and they're currently holding 40,000. So about 60, 70, 80,000 were let go since their ICO last year. I mean, that's some crazy numbers, right? Even if you took 80,000, you multiplied it times 100, I mean, and then maybe doubled it, you get the current value right there. So, I mean, $7.4 million. We can go on and keep picking these out here, and I'll leave a link here in the bottom, but this Dyer.co gives you like the ICO treasury balance. It's good to keep an eye on it from time to time to see what these companies have, so that you know that they can fulfill the goals. If you are invested in them, you may think about standing by them or bailing out of them, depending on how they are doing financially, right? We want financially sound companies. We need companies that are viable and they can pay their bills and they can pay their developers and so on and so forth until their products are out there and producing their own revenue. Let me know what you guys think. You think Ethereum's dead? Do you think Ethereum's in trouble? Do you see Ethereum climbing up that hill? I forgot the name of the guy, but it was an old mythology story where he would push the rock all the way up the hill, and then when he got up to the hill, the rock would fall down. All the way up the hill with the rock again, the rock would fall down. Do you see Ethereum being in some kind of cycle? If it's an ICO like fundraiser, where every time these companies need money and the market it becomes a little bit unstable, there could be larger dumps of Ethereum along the way. Do you agree with the choices right now? There's increased competition. You can go with Neo, go with Waves. There's many other platforms, and it's become a lot easier with these smart contracts. I mean, Waves, you can start your own token in like minutes. Neo is specifically geared towards the Chinese, so with this increased competition and these coins that seem to have little edges on them, is that going to hurt Ethereum in the long run overall? Leave your thoughts and comments below. Have a great day. Reminder one more time, this is educational advice only. My name is Bill P. from BP3 Crypto on BP3TV. Signing off. Ciao, guys.